I was actually born in Vietnam, in Saigon, Vietnam. We left when Saigon fell. So we got airlifted off the embassy, and we first went to Guam, and then we settled in San Francisco afterwards. We started in basically the slums of the Tenderloin in San Francisco. After a year or two of like dodging the stray bullets and things of that nature, we actually moved up to Petaluma. I was the Asian kid in my school, but it was a blessing because I grew up understanding the American culture and really getting really assimilated. My parents were very traditional Asian Americans. I had three choices: doctor, lawyer, or engineer. And I was like, well, Mom, I think I'd like to pursue finance. I had watched that movie Wall Street, and it's pretty exciting. I was like, hey, I wouldn't mind doing that. And in her eyes, finance was me opening a little grocery store or something like that, and owning my own business. She's like, you can't do that, doctor, lawyer, engineer. And so there was this one program at the University of Pennsylvania where you could concurrently get an engineering degree as well as a Wharton business degree. I got in, and it opened tremendous amount of doors for me. Wharton is probably one of the top business schools in the world, and their alumni network was huge. There weren't a lot of Asian Americans that were in finance. And it was one of those things where it wasn't like I could reach out to a mentor and say, hey, can you kind of shepherd me in? When I first walked onto the trading floor, it was a sea of people. There weren't really any Asian people. But that's where my background really kind of helped me, because I was like, yeah, it's like me growing up again. I think there's a lot of barriers because a lot of times, and it still happens today, where a lot of times people will sit there and say, oh, he's Asian American. He'll be good in analytical type stuff, but we can't really put him in front of a client. So a lot of my mentors were Jewish Americans. And I think that's a community that the Asian community should mirror themselves after, because they really help each other, they mentor each other, they get behind one cause. And that's something that I hope one day the Asian community sits there and hopefully will accomplish as well. We graduate about 25% of from the business schools as Asian Americans, but less than 1% are actually in the C-level suites. When a lot of corporations talk about diversity, yes, they have Asian Americans in their companies, but they're still in the cubicles and in the analytical positions. They're not in the nice offices. And as much as I appreciate being in a nice office now, I think we need to make sure that next generation is sitting there and they can have the opportunities to be in the offices as well.